You told about stories. What is the single most, I'm sure there are a lot of stories, but what is the single most, surprising story that can help you in stealing back your career when it's actually stuck or going down?
Yeah, I think there's several of them. We interviewed more than 100 people for this book. But one of the most surprising stories from Career Heist is of Samina. Samina started her journey as a civil engineer. So
Okay.
as a woman, she was getting into a domain which is typically male-oriented in a traditional EPC company. Something many would consider a safe, stable path. You are in an EPC company, civil engineer. But what she did next was defied our convention. So, through a curiosity and with the help of mentors, he transitioned from structural engineering role to auditing, and even took a underground engineering role, which is considered to be pretty risky in terms of experience, in terms of learning, something she was not formally trained for. Right, each shift she did drove her awareness to the roles and made her aware of what is a possibility.
Mm-hmm.
So what stood out was not the diversity of her roles, but how boldly she keep evolving when she felt stuck, right? So today she holds a prestigious role in a leading oil and gas company in Middle East. Uh, her journey proves that you are willing to reimagine your professional identity. So you start with something. Typically, you start in a bottommost role and you move up the path, but you don't look at possibility of moving laterally, because if you move laterally, you broaden your experience and skill set, and that can generate newer opportunities which you would never have thought of. So this is what is one of the stories which really stuck us.
So many of the people in my audience set are not really someone who have worked, तो उनको laterally समझ नहीं आ रहा, तो आप क्या सिंपल भाषा में बता सकते हैं laterally का मतलब क्या होता है?
सी लैटरली का मतलब हेमंत है, सी आप एक आपने सपोज साइंस किया है एंड देन यू go and do an MBA, right? And say you do an MBA in marketing, right? Uh, and you start with a marketing role. Now, traditional career path is you continue in the marketing role, become senior marketing manager and the marketing head and so on. Laterally का मतलब है have you changed department? Say you move from marketing to operations
In the same
or
company.
in the same company. I'm not even talking about the other company. In the
ठीक.
same company, marketing to operations or operations to IT, T to HR or innovation. And this broadens your horizon, right? It's skill set. So then you have a 20,000 of view of how a company works. And जैसे आप ऊपर move होते हो, there are generalist roles, right? A general manager kind of profile or a department head,
Right.
which is more suitable for people who have broad amount of experience in different departments. So I'm talking about that lateral.
Right. So I think people can discover more about your book once they have it. They can have it on Amazon, right? Amazon.
Yes, absolutely. In Amazon and all other leading bookstores, crosswords, and as well as airports in India.
Great. तो अभी बात करते हैं नेटवर्किंग के बारे में. आई थिंक दिस इज वन ऑफ द फेवरेट टॉपिक फॉर मी एज वेल एज एनीवन हु इज गोइंग टू एमबीए एंड वेरी रेलेवेंट फॉर देम एज वेल. तो सबसे पहला चीज मैं ये पूछूंगा, बिकॉज अ लॉट ऑफ पीपल आस्क मी एज वेल कि हेमंत, मैं इंट्रोवर्ट हूँ, मैं लोगों से बात करना पसंद नहीं करता एंड एवरीथिंग, एंड आई एम शाई रीचिंग आउट टू पीपल फॉर हेल्प. नेटवर्किंग तो दूर का बात है, अगर मैं खुद के लिए हेल्प ही नहीं मांग सकता तो नेटवर्किंग क्या ही करूँ, तो उनके लिए कुछ बताइए.
It's a good question. I think let me give you a context. So first 10 years of my career, Hemant, I was an absolute introvert, right? I was you can say a bookworm, mostly into books, reading, and just doing my work and going back home. तो किसी से बात करना तो बहुत ही different kind of task था. Stranger से तो बिल्कुल नहीं, right? And then something flipped. What flipped was I had to move to a different career from a project manager to a academic alliances lead for one of the big regions in India for my company. अब मेरा टास्क था कि मेरे को यूनिवर्सिटीज के हेड ऑफ डिपार्टमेंट्स, डायरेक्टर्स, वाइस चांसलर्स, इन सब से बात करना है, ट्रेनिंग प्लेसमेंट सेट्स, एंटायरली न्यू जोन, राइट? So one thing is, as an introvert or as someone who's not used to talking to people, I think the first thing is how do you talk to people outside your domain, right? This is what something is a starting point.
Elaborate
आपको,
this a bit.
yeah. Uh, so you are an MBA student who has specialized, say, in marketing, right?
Okay.
Correct. Are you talking to people who are specializing in finance in your own institute, right? or are you talking to people who are specializing in HR in their own domain, right? That's one thing, right? Playing outside your domain. The other thing is when you talk, right, to people outside your domain, the first roadblock is कि मैं क्या बात करूंगा, right? Because I have nothing in common.
आइस ब्रेकर नहीं है किसी के पास।
आइस ब्रेकर नहीं है, तो आइस ब्रेकर के लिए what I realize is, I think that is the groundwork which people used to do is, as an MBA, I'm sure you would be reading a lot. You would have read a lot for preparation, and you would be reading a lot during your MBA preparation.
राइट।
I think broaden your context, broaden your worldview, broaden your horizon, right? So अगर किसी से आपको बात करना है in the field of HR, right? So what would you talk? You're a marketing person. So your talk would be centered more around, okay, what is the impact of, say, technology on HR, right? How frequently people are changing jobs, right? How HR is dealing with this. There are a lot of things, and you can always have that icebreaker if you have a broader context of the world. And then the key is when you put that question, and it can be any question which is related to the other person's field, which you have some awareness about, then it's all about listening with curiosity. So when you listen with curiosity, there might be something else which come up, and then you correlate it with your domain knowledge, right? To add value. That's how the bond is formed for the network.
I think I have read a very beautiful line in How to Win Friends and Influence People, which is कि you can become friends with much more people by being interested in their life than trying to make them interested in your own life.
Absolutely. And absolutely, that's the key. So think of networking as an opportunity to learn from others, genuinely understand their challenges and their context, and discover a way to add value to their lives and career. This is the key.
Okay, so can you tell me about any cold DM on that note, जो आपने कभी किसी को किया and it turned out to be a very good opportunity for you because you maintained the relationship? How you went about that cold DM? How did you research about that person? How did you ensure that whatever talks you are doing is personalized talk? And once you know cold DM आप शुरू में करते हो, कभी कभी रिप्लाई आ जाता है और शुरू में आप बात कर लेते हो, बट एक पॉइंट ऑफ टाइम के बाद क्या रोड ब्लॉक हिट हो जाता है क्योंकि आपको पता है आपके पास अब तो कुछ बात करने के लिए बचा नहीं. सो हाउ डू यू कम अप विद टॉपिक कि नहीं, इफ यू हैव टू कीप द कन्वर्सेशन गोइंग, व्हाट नेक्स्ट?
I think cold DM is a good starting point. I receive hundreds of them every year, right? Uh, what I see, what works is, see, if you have done the research about the person and then you start a conversation, a lot of time cold DMs, people focus on getting something immediately or selling something. Either it's a sales or a ask. Sale and an ask without developing a trust hardly works. It doesn't work, right? So, that's the key, right? So, say if I see if I read a lot of books and I also post reviews of books on LinkedIn. And what I used to do is when I read a book, I will buy the book, read the book, put the post review on LinkedIn, and then send the link of that review to the author,
Okay.
and then tell him, "See, this is what I read about your book. This is what I resonated, and I wrote this review. I'm happy to help your inputs on this." This would work perfectly in almost all cases. In their author would definitely connect with me. They will appreciate me. They will, in fact, a lot of times they will often ask to meet me in person. This happens, right? Because you are doing something without asking someone, without his or her ask, you are doing a review, which is out of your genuine interest and curiosity. So find ways, what can you do for the other person before having an ask?
So, do you mean to say over delivering early in the relationship building phase helps?
No, absolutely. Absolutely, that helps. So, and people will ask, especially students may ask, or early professional, कि what can I do for someone senior,
टीम
right?
बेस्ड फ्रेंड्स क्या
मैं
करेंगे?
क्या कर सकता हूँ, मैं क्या कर सकता हूँ, right? But student has a lot of things which they can offer, and this is what I often see smart students, right? For example, if you're in a college, right? College often organize events, right? It can be annual event, it can be technical event, cultural event, where you get guests, you get speakers, you get keynote speakers, you get panelists, you can judges. These are excellent opportunities to open to your network and build trusted relationship. Because people who are professionals, who have decades of experience, they would definitely like to share their experience, share their expertise, and especially with young people. So yeah, it's a very fascinating things which lot of students miss doing is to use their network to reach out to people who they admire and have an opportunity for them to contribute in their own college, community, or organization. That's one. The second thing is because students are digital native, they're tech savvy,
Mhm.
especially with tools like AI, for example. You are running your own podcast on YouTube. You have excellent knowledge of how to run a podcast, how to create YouTube videos. These are skills which professionals who has 15, 20, 25 years are struggling in the sense that it doesn't come to them easy. So you can always offer them a skill, right? So I can help you create videos, I can help you create LinkedIn, I can help you give some tips about how to create a podcast or how to do some of these new age things. These are valuable skills. So I'm talking about things which a lot of students can do in order to add value to their network.
तो ये तो आपने उनके लिए बोला जो थोड़े से, आप मान लीजिए ओल्ड एज हो गए, जो समझ नहीं पाते टेक्नोलॉजी को। मान लीजिए मुझे अपने किसी इमीडिएट एलम या 1-2 साल जो ग्रेजुएट हुए हैं उन एलम से बात करनी है, एंड दे आर एज टेक्नोलॉजिकली एडवांस एज मी,
Hmm.
उनसे मैं किस तरह कनेक्ट करूं, वहां पे चैलेंज आ जाता है।
Right. So this is a more specific case, Hemant. But इस case में क्या है? What is the case is you have to understand the person, right? Other person whom you're connecting. One, what is their background? In a sense, what have they done for their bachelor's, right? Of course, masters would be an MBA, which would be typically your college. That's why you both are alum from the same institute. What's their interest? I think the common thing is which people often don't use is commonality between the people for network. So it can be, is he from the same place? Is he from the same state? Is he from the same college, similar college for bachelor's? What is his interest areas, right? In the sense of where has he worked? What kind of domains has he worked, right? And then ask for an information discussion. People typically reach out to someone for an ask, and the ask would be big. Give me a job. Can you give me a reference? Can you give me an internship? This is a big ask. The information interview is typically 10 minutes, 15 minutes on a call where you understand more about the person, but you go with a specific agenda. So I want to understand how you move, how you became a product owner from a marketing manager in XYZ company, right? But then you also have to see what you can offer to him as a value,
व्हाट
right?
कैन आई ऑफर एज ए स्टूडेंट?
Yes. What can you offer as a student? So you have to be creative enough. What can you offer? It doesn't have to be immediate, right? For example, if you are reaching out to someone on LinkedIn, I would say one of the best thing to do is to give them a testimonial.
राइट।
Give the
यस।
testimonial how the discussion helped them, help you grow in terms of your understanding, in terms of opportunity, in terms of your network. It is invaluable.
आई सॉ दिस स्टोरी जहाँ पे मेरे
Hmm.
ही एक एलम को हमारे प्रोफेसर ने टेस्टिमोनियल दे रखा था, एंड
Absolutely.
समवन फ्रॉम आवर सेम इंस्टीट्यूट stumbled upon that profile. He was scrolling and he saw that professor जिन्होंने उनको पढ़ाया है इनको टेस्टिमोनियल दे रखा है, and that helped him in getting the job. The reason is
Yeah.
because there's a commonality, there's a common ground, and the professor was very highly regarded. And if
Yeah.
this person is highly regarded by the professor, then they both can trust each other.
Absolutely.
वो
Absolutely.
गैप जो ब्रिज हो गया सिर्फ एक रिकमेंडेशन से, लिंक्डइन रिकमेंडेशन, इट रियली ब्लू मी ऑफ। ऐसा भी होता है।
Yeah. Absolutely. Absolutely.
तो ऑन दैट नोट, यू नो, आप अपने प्रोफेट लाइक नेटवर्किंग जर्नी के बारे में भी थोड़ा बताइए, और सेकंड ये भी बताइए कि हाउ थिंग्स हैव चेंज, बिकॉज यूजुअली पहले क्या होता था कि लोग ऑफलाइन जाते थे क्योंकि ऑनलाइन ज्यादा साधन नहीं था, बट आजकल ऑनलाइन इतना कुछ हो गया है, ऑफलाइन लोग जल्दी से मिलते नहीं है, सब इंस्टाग्राम पे डूम स्क्रोलिंग कर रहे हैं। हाउ हैज नेटवर्किंग चेंज्ड फंडामेंटली in these 2 decades that you have done, and what works now in this age of social media?
I think it's a great question, Hemant. Uh, Networking might have changed, but the fundamentals remain same, right? So a lot of it has moved to online space, right? LinkedIn, Instagram, Facebook, whatever social media you talk about. But think about how genuine are those connections, right?
Exactly. Why?
Uh, So, and would they be of help if you have never met? If you ask for a help for a person whom you connected on these social media, you have interacted, but if you ask for help, would the person be able to help you? Right? That's a question which everyone should ask. So my approach is it's a hybrid approach. You may connect with people on LinkedIn because that's the social media platform I use, professional social media platform. But I then take it forward to an offline conversation more often than not. If I'm in the same city, I would definitely have a coffee meeting with the person. because nothing can replace an in-person discussion, right? Even if not a coffee meeting, I would take it to the next level, which is a virtual coffee meeting through a Zoom call or a Google Meet, where you can see the person, right? And I would not say all of your attempt would be successful. Maybe you may ask 10, 4 or 5 may, come back. Again, it depends on what you have as a value to offer to them, what you have as a profile, what is your ask, and how are you approaching. But once this happens, ये जो in-person connect, then the relationship moves to a different level. So I would say start with online, then move to offline or a hybrid, and then continue to engage, right? So I will give you multiple examples, right? One of the examples is I connected with someone who works in a VC firm here. It's a big VC firm in Austria. We met in a startup event. We met in person. And then we shared about each other's interests and journeys, and my interest in startup and my advisory role with startup. And he said, "This sounds interesting. You have fascinating experience of working with startups with a lot of startups in India, US, and other geographies. And I would like to leverage this." I said, "Definitely, I would like to learn more about what you do in Austrian startup ecosystem." So we now have an offline call. We meet for 15 minutes on a call every 4 weeks. So this is the answer to your question is, if you have genuine relationship and you see value coming out of it, you can set up a recurring call. It can be just 15 minutes in a couple of weeks.
Is it for free?
Absolutely. So this is again the question which you said, right? A lot of people think that it has to be transactional. Transactional is not only about money, it's about the value you bring. Now, this friend of mine was looking for someone who works in the field of space technology for a
Mm-hmm.
con 3 months back. I had that person in my network. I introduced the person, and the person then went to the conference in Austria as one of the speakers, and this person was very happy. Right? He introduced me to someone who is looking, say, for a startup advisor. So there's a lot of relationships which are more non-monetary, right? Which are beyond transaction, but which helps to your network. That's why this is the point which I said earlier. Hemant, is broaden your network, right? When you have a broad network, that network is the gold mine, which you can leverage for a lot of opportunities, connects, introductions, and that create a lot of goodwill for you.
नाइस आई थिंक एक लाइन मेरे को जो आपका सुन के लगता है वो ये आता है कि गौरव इज लाइक आई नो अ मैन हु नोज अ मैन
Absolutely,
दैट पर्सन.
absolutely, absolutely.
So, we broadly covered most of the things about networking, as you told how we can do a cold DM, how we can try to add value to a person's life, especially someone who is towards the older side, जो technology से struggle कर रहे हैं. Or if we definitely have something very unique to offer, we should definitely get into that. But now I want to ask, कि, why does specific kind of people, as in tech people or engineering graduates, they suffer a lot with networking? And is there any framework that you have which they can use and everyone else can use to get started without this fear? कि भाई क्या होगा कैसे होगा?
See, I think this takes me back to the point which I was discussing earlier, Hemant, right? Uh, Networking के लिए one key thing is to have a broad interest and broad awareness about what's going on in the world. If you're in tech or engineering and you're only focused about your own role, job, area, then you will only meet people who are in your specific network. That's the challenge. That's the challenge which I often see, right? So if you broaden your network, that gives you an opportunity to connect with people who are outside your network and who can add value to you. But for adding value, you need to have the conversation. For
Right.
conversation, you need to have the knowledge about other fields. And again, the curiosity and the interest to listen to them. Right? So
So,
this, hmm.
okay, let's do a quick rapid fire. Especially for MBA students, what do you think are the three do's and three don'ts in terms of networking?
I think the first is for do's, personalize your message. If you're sending a message on LinkedIn or other mediums, offer value before expecting returns. That's the second. And third is be consistent in maintaining relationship, which means follow up, greet people or connect with them on different occasions to share what's going on in your professional life and get to know more about their professional life. What is don't send generic request, which is a copy paste template, right? Only reach out when you need something, which is again very transactional, right? And fail to follow up after initial connect. And this is where I see a lot of these MBA students fail is, say you got a value from someone,
Mm-hmm.
but you haven't told them how that value, impacted them, how it was useful, what happened. Say someone made a reference for you for a internship or a job. Did you had that job or internship? Did you go for interview? What happened in that? Have you put a thank you note for someone? So the fail to follow up after initial connect, I think, is the biggest don't or biggest challenge which I see with people
Mm-hmm.
for, you know, networking.
राइट। तो सर आपने बोला फॉलोअप्स के बारे में, एंड उससे मैंने भी बहुत स्ट्रगल किया है। How this very important question, at least for me, is one, how do you follow up in a way that it looks natural? मतलब इंडिया में, क्योंकि आपने जैसे यूरोप के बारे में मुझे बताया था कि यूरोप में लोग बहुत ऐसे ही जॉली टाइप के होते हैं, वो लोग सड़क में चलते हुए हाय बोल देते हैं, एंड उनको पता है कि नॉट एवरी रिलेशनशिप इज ट्रांजैक्शनल। बट इंडिया में अगर मैं किसी एलम को रीच आउट करूँ तो उनका फर्स्ट इंस्टिंक्ट यही होता है कि भाई ये मांगेगा जॉब, या मेरा कोई जूनियर मुझे रीच आउट करे तो मेरा फर्स्ट इंस्टिंक्ट यही होता है कि ये मेरे से कुछ पूछेगा। And पहले वो लोग लिखते हैं हाउ आर यू, एंड एकदम नेक्स्ट सेंटेंस कि भैया क्या आप मुझे आधा घंटा दे सकते हैं, मैं सीवी रिव्यू के लिए, मतलब भाई ये क्या चल रहा है। एंड आई डोंट नो हाउ टू फॉलो अप, बिकॉज फर्स्ट आई डोंट वांट टू मेक इट फोर्सफुल। सेकंड, एंड दिस इज अगेन वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट, कि अगर कोई ऑपोजिट जेंडर है वो विदाउट लुकिंग क्रीपी और कि भाई डे कॉफी के लिए बुला रहे हैं ऑफलाइन मीट के लिए, ऐसा नहीं लगे कि भाई हिट करने का कोशिश कर रहा है। सो वेयर हाउ डू आई मेंटेन दैट बैलेंस वेयर आई कैन अप्रोच फर्स्ट द ऑपोजिट जेंडर विदाउट मेकिंग देम फील कि भाई आई एम ट्राइंग टू डू समथिंग बियॉन्ड a professional relationship, and second, how am I following up in a way that it looks natural?
See, follow-up का जो point है ना, what you said, Hemant, is a very important point. See, nothing in the world moves typically without a follow, right? Especially with senior people who you are trying to network. उसका reason ये है because they are too busy in their own lives, right? They have too many things going on. Now, the first point is, which I said earlier too, is what's the ask? So you can't expect a stranger to give you half an hour of their time without knowing you, knowing anything about you, right? So it has to be a very small ask at the most, right? It has to be relatable. That's the second thing, right? And third is what I said, what's in it for me, voila, point, right? What you can offer to them, right? And all these three things are important, right? So someone approaches me, so I'll tell you. One of the students from an Indian institute, she recently approached me on LinkedIn. And the reason why she approached me is because she, along with her group of students, was doing a project on disability.
Okay.
And she knew I had in my network one of the connects who runs a top accessible tourism startups globally, right? And she wanted me to connect with this person, right? So that she and her group of students can work with her to do this short-term project, right? Her ask was clear. It was just a connect. Her context was clear why she was doing that, because she and her friends were interested to explore this topic more, right? And what she did was she's also sent me a one-page note. This is what the contact, this is the project. Can you please connect me to this person in your network so that we can explore if we can do a project. It was a small ask. I just connected with the person and asked her if she was available and she was interested to do this set of project with the students. And then I connected both the parties so that they can explore it together. So it's a small ask, it's a genuine ask, it's a relevant ask. Because when the project is done, there's also an opportunity for the startup to talk about that they have helped a group of students take it, right? So I'm just giving an example of what kind of things I've seen working good, right? Or working immediately, right? For example, someone reached out to me saying that I'm writing my book, right? I'm working on my second book, and senior industry professional. And he said, can you help me connect with your publisher? Now, my relationship with this person is old because we have interacted multiple times and we have same kind of interest and we have helped each other. So in this case, the thing would work. In the other case, if someone out of the blue reaches out to me and asks me, can you connect me with a publisher? That will not work because I don't know the person. I don't have the context. I
So
don't trust this person. right?
जो लड़की ने आपको रीच आउट किया, आपने
Hmm.
बताया कि वाइट वर्कड आउट, कैन यू
Yes.
टेल मी व्हाट शी वुड हैव रिटन कि ये वर्कआउट नहीं करता? लेट्स से इफ शी हैड आस्क्ड दिस इंस्टेड ऑफ दैट, तो आप भाव नहीं देते, क्या होता वो चीज?
It would have been if she would have asked, just can you connect me with this person, right? Yes, without context, without thing, or can you do this project for me? Or can you work with us on this project? So if the ask is too big, it requires too much effort, time, and it has a lot of friction, then the ask would not work. Even if the ask is small, ask is genuine, ask is relevant, then it will work. Right?
That makes sense.
Yeah.
So that brings us to the last section of this conversation, and it's mostly a rapid fire round जहां मैं आपसे क्वेश्चन पूछूंगा एंड आपको 1 मिनट के अंदर हर क्वेश्चन का आंसर करना है in the
Sure.
most layman terms possible. ठीक है? So I hope you're ready.
Yeah.
The first question is career versus job. What's the smarter place straight out of B school?
I think choose a career for direction and purpose. Jobs are short-term vehicles, career are long-term maps. The more roles and experience you have, the more aligned you would be where you would like to make your career, which aligns with your values, life context, and priorities.
So, can you define what is the difference between a career and job?
A job is a short-term thing, right? So I'm working IT. A career is something which you look for a long-term perspective. So I wanted to move from IT to make a career in academic partnerships, and that I made for a decade. So that's my career, right? In the sense it's just not one of the jobs which gives me money or thing. It's a whole career. It's a long-term game where I put years and probably decades, to move up the path and learn different tips, tricks, have different experience and move up the ladder.
The second question is cold DM or warm intro. Which one do you think works the best?
I think warm intros are always, land faster because trust is built. Uh, right? But that doesn't mean cold DM doesn't work. They absolutely can if they're well crafted, polite, and low pressure, low ask, right? Cold DM shouldn't be a job request, as I said at the first cold DM. Instead, ask something specific that can be answered quickly and that doesn't require too much obligation. Right? So this is my
Let's say
point.
someone is reaching out
Yeah,
to the founder of a startup for a
yeah,
job
yeah.
and they're cold DMing them. So यहाँ पे तो ask job का ही है. यहाँ पे तो आप वो
Yeah,
नहीं कर सकते कि आप long term relationship बनाओ.
yeah. So warm intro. Always see if someone is connected to the startup founder, and this is actually what you asked is a real case. So one of my mentees, he reached out to me last week. He want me to refer him to one of the startups which I'm advisor as a role of a sales and marketing. I'll be doing that because this mentee knows me. I'll refer this person to the startup founder, and startup founder knows me, so he trusts when this is coming. So warm intros for a job is the best. Cold DMs, I mean, it's very, very rare that it would work.
But in case the person has to do a cold DM, they don't have anyone in the network, they're talented, वो लोग बहुत अच्छा कुछ टेबल पे रख सकते हैं. How do you think they should go about cold DMing in a way that it gets them a response?
So I'm being a little practical here, Hemant. The attention span of people have gone down drastically.
Yeah.
You know that, which means that they would be receiving someone who is in a position of authority or running a company or a startup would have several hundreds of such requests, right? So the only way that request can be meaningful if you provide value upfront, right? When I say value, why? So when I was in my previous company, I used to interview hundreds of students, both for internships and jobs, right? The ones which worked well knew the context of my company. So if you're applying for a job, you need to know the context. The research about the company has to be thorough. The second is if you have done some research about the founder and the challenges which they are facing in the market currently, and you have a possible solution, if you can provide that upfront with your application, that's the best you can do. This is what will get you attention. I think nothing else will in today's world. If you just send your CV and a cover letter, I want a job, not going to move. Very, very difficult.
Okay, so you have last 10 lakh rupees left with you, and you have either of the option. You can go for a global semester exchange, or you can bootstrap a side hustle. Which one would you choose and why?
I would go for a global exchange semester. And this, again, is absolutely based on one's career vision. So bootstrapping a side hustle would build you entrepreneurship skills. It will build you marketing, sales, reach out, so many other skills. But a global exchange offers international exposure. So if I want to make my career globally, if I want to have a wide network which I can rely upon in future, this would be invaluable. Invaluable.
Okay, certification stack और a real time life project कौन सा आपके सीवी को बहुत जल्दी एक boost देगा?
I think real world consulting. They add immediate value to your resume because everyone wants to see how you can apply the knowledge in real world, right? Certifications are useful, but they're useful in certain kind of jobs where the entry itself requires certification. For example, in a lot of jobs in Europe for IT project management, you require Prince2 certification. For cybersecurity jobs, you may require some specific certification. So their certification are useful. Otherwise, the real world consulting is something which definitely had an edge.
So I'm sure MBA students के लिए तो वो real world consulting ही हुआ because they're more
Yeah,
of
yeah,
business
yeah,
side.
yeah.
Okay, so which is the one bold career pivot you had repeat in a heartbeat, and why MBA should care about this?
I think I would always repeat my career transition. So I started from IT, moved to HR, then to innovation, then leading a portfolio careers. So MBA should embrace calculated risk for accelerated growth.
Okay, so but I just want one. If you can repeat just one without thinking कि भाई ये तो करना ही है चाहे कुछ भी हो जाए.
I would say take chances and move to roles which you always aspire for, even if you are not ready.
Okay, so is there any role that you went up to? For example, when you shifted from IT to HR, if you had been given one more life, would you do that again? Or
Yeah,
is there
absolutely.
any other thing?
Absolutely. I would because I had a IT project manager role with 35 member team, and suddenly I was managing 100 plus universities and colleges for 5 states. It's a very different role, but very different exposure. I was working with leadership team within my organization and also working with leadership team within institutes. It opened my horizon. I completely changed my perspective of how things are done.
Hmm. Okay, so daily LinkedIn micro posts or weekly long form drops. What do you think builds more trust and brand equity?
I think daily LinkedIn micro post is important for consistent visibility. Absolutely. If you don't have a lot of long form posts, you can start with that. Weekly long form post is for deeper thought leadership. I think as one moves up in his career, deeper long form post becomes more relevant because they may not have something exciting happening every day. For younger people, I would say daily micro posts because they are learning something new, they are applying something new, they have new observation, they have new network, they have new events. For them, daily micro posts is definitely useful.
And final question, how would you structure the first 10 minutes of a coffee chat with a CXO?
I think I would probe their challenges first. I think most of the people don't do that. Understand what's their current challenge and why they have this challenge and what you can do as a person, as a consultant uh, to help this person, right, as a CXO. It can be with a new idea, it can be through a network, it can be through your own skill, it can be through your own understanding, a different understanding to the problem. Right. That's what I would do.
Okay, and five MBA, like 5 books an MBA must read, according to you.
Yeah, so I would have these five. I mean, there can be multiple, but these five are something I would definitely recommend MBAs. The first is Range. The second is Deep Work. The third is Pathless Path. The fourth is 80,000 hours, how to find a fulfilling career that does good. And finally, how will you measure your life?
It's surprising to see there's no business book as such involved in it. Is there a reason why?
So business is the part of every aspect of our life, right? For example, Deep Work it is from Carl Newport, who's an MIT professor. He talks about how do you do focused work. So if you understand how do you do focused work, you will excel in your business or whatever company you work in, right? The Pathless Path talks about a different context of how you can lead a portfolio career or a different kind of career, which is not a traditional one, right? How will you measure your life talks about what is important in leading a good life when you work, what you should not ignore. So these are definitely something I would recommend. MBAs to look at from a broad perspective of how they grow, both in their personal context, professional context, and in life, not just an immediate job.
Right. And I think the sixth book will be Career Heist.
Definitely.
Okay. So that was a great conversation. I hope you enjoyed it. Uh, if we had to sum it up, can you just take 2 minutes and sum up everything that you have told with regards to taking challenges in your career, networking, the books, and what changed when you took those daring steps?
I think the traditional path is the linear path which everyone takes is comfortable. Uh, it doesn't come with any uncertainty, but it also doesn't have any excitement long term. So I would say look at your career as a maze, not as a ladder. Uh, choose roles which excite you, right? Learn about them as you grow. Focus on networking because that's the key to land up opportunities which you would have never imagined you would. Career pivots require clarity, courage, and practical frameworks, a lot of which we have shared in our book. Continuous learning and adaptability are crucial for career longevity, which means in our book also we said one has to reinvent themselves every decade or so, for sure, right? Which I've done 3 times now in 2 decades. And I'm sure most of us would be doing because of what's happening around in the world, both in technology, geopolitics, economics. So be open to reinvent yourself. Don't be stuck because I've done an MBA in marketing and only do a marketing job, or I've done MBA in finance, I'll only do a finance job. Maybe you'll move to international location. Maybe you'll get married. Maybe your spouse would have a different role and have an opportunity to move to a different location, and you would have to reinvent your career. That's what I'm doing today. So that's my insight. And finally, always be curious and be open to learning things.
That is great. So, do you think, so obviously you like people, you can find the Career Heist book in the description. I'll put the link, Amazon link. Uh, as a part of a giveaway, Gaurav, can we have 3 sessions for any 3 random people who can book a 15-minute session with you on topic and just talk with you if they're confused about their careers?
Yeah, absolutely. I'll be happy to offer 3 sessions of 15 minutes each to the viewers of your podcast. Absolutely.
So it is like someone who came till the end will only know this. So
Yes,
anyone who decided to stick along will definitely get the reward. I think it in that way. But thank you so much for sparing your time, Mr. Gaurav. It was lovely to have you. Uh, I hope to connect with you soon again and wish you a good day.
absolutely. Same here, Hemant. Wonderful to have you to be on this podcast. And it was interesting conversation, number of topics which you covered. I'm sure it will be insightful for your readers.
Thank you so much. Have a good day, Gaurav.